How are you, man? How's your day been?
It's good. Just teaching and got home not that long ago, so pretty good so far.
Good,
Almost
good,
over, I
good.
guess.
Yeah,
Another day over, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, my day was okay. Nothing too crazy. Just taking it one day at a time, and just yeah, man. Just trying to prep for a lot of things. But yeah, we're good. We're good. So, my question to you, for the audience, how did this all start for you as far as poetry and bone mission and everything? How did it all start for you?
Well, I mean, I always have uh, from a young age. I started probably like in middle school. I guess I started writing like short stories, and then I've always written uh, pretty much strokes, and then after that, I could pretty much write like what anything I want. I mean, like off the top of my head, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm. Okay, okay. And so like as far as your pieces, like what's the inspiration behind your pieces? Like as far as writing, like is it something like events that you've gone through, or is it just, I know you said it's stuff that just pops up in your head, but does something inspire that to come out of your head like that, or is it just at random?
Um, Not really. I mean, just whatever I think of. I might have like an idea I do. I'll start writing like a word, and then I'll just write the poem.
All right, cool, cool. Hold on. Give me 1 second, brother. I'm so sorry. Okay. So while we wait, of course, again, Instagram's acting up, and now you're blurry, or am I blurry? What the hell's going on? All right, I'm really sorry about all this. I don't know why this is acting up because it's kind of messing up the flow of what I wanted to capture here. So I guess in the meantime, would you like to read a piece of yours so we can give the audience an idea of your style of writing?
Yeah. I'll read a poem called America. This one was published a couple times, but it's called America. It says, America has sunshine I never wanted. It has oceans and women that aren't on its mountains. It has television sets of sad lies, and sometimes they're on repeat and repeat all over again. It has birds that don't sing my song, and if you're lost, maybe you'll find me too.
Ooh, okay, okay, and
So there's one for you.
talk to me about that piece.
Well, it's called America, and I just thought it might be interesting to write a poem just about kind of the country, maybe the state that it's in. I thought about like Mount Rushmore, and then I was like, well, there aren't any women on Mount Rushmore. So then I kind of added in like some other kind of image type things. I don't know. I really didn't know what I was writing, so I just wrote it. So,
No,
but
that makes
but
sense though.
yeah, I mean, I kind of build around that idea and just kind of see where it goes.
No, it makes sense. Make 100% sense. Um, so okay, wait, what is going? Oh my God. Okay, so you did mention that you are a teacher. Talk to me about that as well.
Well, I've taught probably almost, I guess, 20 years, English primarily. I
Okay.
teach like a lot of literature, stuff like that. But, you know, teaching now is especially challenging just because of short attention spans that
Mm,
you're dealing with, teenagers today. So, yeah, it's a challenge, especially get them to like read anything or just read, like maybe a text that's a little bit longer.
right. It is interesting too, because I know when I was when I was in school too, I feel like the school system was a little bit different back then. Also, and it's true what you said about the attention span, because it seems like I think ever since these things, these little phone things came on, now it seems like that's all people care about, right? Because I remember back in the day, you had to go to a library to do research on a book or something, or get the actual book. Now everything's on the tip of your fingers. In a way, I think it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because it takes away from a lot of things. But then it also, in one side of the coin, it's like it's making people become more lazier in that sense, where okay, no one wants to go to a place and I guess connect with one another. That I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I always I tell my students, I'm like, y'all don't know how like easy and like lucky y'all have it. I
Yeah.
said we used to have to go like bust out the Encyclopedia Britannica and like you're doing a report on whales. So you gotta look up whales, you know. So
Wow.
yeah, they've got more access to information, but I think a lot of the critical thinking is gone, you know.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I definitely agree with you with that, especially the critical thinking. And that was a very big part of when I used to go to school. They were really big on that nowadays, like you said. And it's, oh man. But in your opinion, why do you think that is besides like the obvious with the technology? Why do you think that is though? In your opinion?
Well, I think it starts at home. I mean, I grew up, both my parents are like avid readers. So if you grow up like in that environment, I mean, that's just kind of, you learn that. I think that's kind of a lost art today. You know, I'm not saying that's always the case, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it does tie back into technology. I mean, if you can get anything like instantly at your fingertips, then like really reading like a book, it doesn't sound too appealing. I mean, I'm sure if I would have grown up like during this time, I would have been more probably interested in the phone and all those type things too.
Yeah. No, that all makes sense. Why don't you show us like another piece of yours that you can introduce us to?
Okay, let me look here, see if I can find one. Uh, yeah, here's one. This one's been published too. It's called Advice for Young Lovers. It says, try hate later on after the kids are out of the house or have moved back home from wasted money at state college. Go to a wedding once a year to remember love costs more than a cake in a cross-eyed flower girl. Watch baseball, but go for the National League when in doubt. Adopt a cat that hates you. This will be easy. Read and write poetry, and the worse, the better. It might make you famous, so you can keep a minor bird in a cage to cook you scrambled eggs and laugh at your bad jokes.
Wow. Okay, I love that. That is awesome. Yo, talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, talk to you about that because that is awesome. I love that. I love that. Like, can you break that down piece by piece? Because that is wow.
Yeah, this one again, I just like wrote off the top of my head. And I kind of like was thinking about like weddings. I thought, well, it might be interesting to like throw in like a flower girl, but make her like cross-eyed. And then I like baseball, so I like to watch. I'm a Cubs fan, so I watch the National League. So I kind of threw that in. Then just a lot of random kind of imagery and stuff like that. It's kind of the stuff I do. I mean, I'll start writing, and I'll come up with like an image. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to like throw that in. But like I said, half the time I don't even know like until I get done with the poem, kind of how it comes out. So
Right. No, absolutely. And that's awesome too because it's like, but you see, like if you put the context of your piece, right? I love it, right? Because it's like you're advising like younger generation. I'm sorry. Wow. I hear a lot of feedback. I'm sorry. Oh.
no problem.
Yeah, my bad. Okay. So, I'm so sorry because I lost my train of thought, Tom. I really apologize for that. I guess my question is, okay. Okay, so why do you tend to choose to write in satire, right? While some of your followers clearly understand it's satire, many others do not seem to.
Well, I'm just good at satire. I mean, I can write anything. A lot of the stuff, I'll just look at a picture of like a politician, and then I can just write an instant satire.
Okay,
So,
and for those, yeah, no.
and
So
I
for
think,
those who don't,
yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
I
no,
was
my
just gonna
bad.
say
I'm
I
sorry.
like satire, so it's not. I enjoy it, and kind of what I did with like Instagram was just satire a lot of the Insta poets, and then it kind of took off from there. But I don't know. Like some people thought it was like actually real. Some people knew that yeah, this is like satire. So to me, if it's like that's good satire, people can't really
All right,
tell
and
the
for
difference. So yeah.
all right, no, no, and for those who don't know what satire is, okay, you like give us a breakdown of that.
Well, satire is basically a genre where you make fun of things, uh, basically in a humorous way, uh, and I don't want to say degrading, but a lot of satire is degrading. Society kind of in a humorous way, or it also points out hypocrisy a lot, which is like what I like to do, like with politicians primarily. So
Right, right. No, yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. So I guess my question, because I'm gonna transition a little bit now. So as far as the bone machine stuff, right, that you and Scott do, like how did you and Scott meet each other?
well, we met through a writing thing. I think we were both published in a broadside series called 48 Street Press, and I had read his poem, and then I kind of looked him up, and then he had a website. I think at that time it's been a while ago, but I just kind of emailed him. We got in touch. I said, "Hey, I liked your poem," and then we kind of just kept in touch from there, and then we've become really good friends over the years. So
Awesome, awesome. And speaking of so what was it about Scott's stuff that drew you into it though? And
well,
yeah.
well, I mean, I read, like I can tell kind of what's like a good poem and what isn't. I mean, I'm not, and I just liked his poems. I thought, well, he's got like some talent. I think you can kind of tell he had some good imagery, and he's really he edits his poems really well. A lot of his stuff, he really thinks it out. I'm kind of the opposite. I don't edit at
Okay.
all. Like I just write it and then I'll write the next one. But he puts a lot of thought into his word choice, and he has good imagery, and I like that. So yeah, I just read it. I was like, man, this guy's got some talent. So I kind of like to get in touch with people I think are pretty talented. So
No, no, I definitely agree with you on that. It's something about the whole, like, especially like his wording, like other people's wordings as well. Like something gravitates you towards that, which is amazing. Um, so I guess my next question is like, what is your preferred medium, chat books and stuff like that? And yeah, I'm sorry, one thing at a time. I apologize. So, what is your preferred medium when it comes to chat books and just regular books and stuff like that?
like, do you mean like do I prefer chat books or just regular books?
No, no. So just overall, like what is your like what source, what place do you prefer to do stuff like that? As far as whether it's the open mics, whether it's your to read books, or just overall.
Oh, okay. No, I don't care anything about like performance poetry or like open mics. I would probably never do that. I mean, maybe I should. It might be fun, but I'm not interested in like things like that, to be honest. I would
Okay.
rather just rather like write my own stuff, submit it, and get it published. And then I like to do my novels and poetry books as well. But I kind of like just do my own thing. As far as like
So okay.
I'm not, I know Scott, they've gotten kind of big into that open mics and the reading, and I think that's cool. I think that's a good venue too, or good outlet for poetry. It's just not really my my thing at all. So
Got you. So you're more like, so you're pretty much like a rebel poet. You're more like you. I want to be behind the guy. Like here's my piece. This is what it is. But you're not much of the open mic guy to go on stage and stuff like that. Is it just something you just don't care about it too much? Is that what it is also?
yeah, I'm not into it. Like, I think it's cool. I think what they're doing is really cool, and it gets people involved. But I'm more of a like to do my own thing and write it and put it out there, and then try to get published in like as much stuff as I can.
Right.
And I have been published quite a bit, so I think that's kind of a lost art as well. I mean, a lot of poets, especially with social media, they can put their work up instantly and get that reaction. But if you actually submit your work to publications, then you may have to wait like 6 months until you find out if your poem got accepted or whatever. So
right. So I got a question though. Yeah, when it comes to
sure.
like the publishing aspect of it, do you think what's more preferred in your honest opinion? Do you think it's better to go to an actual publishing place, or do you prefer maybe like an indie press type situation? Like, what in your opinion, what do you think is the difference, and what's your preferred when it comes to that? What are your opinion on those things?
Oh, I think it doesn't matter anymore. With the technology, anyone can publish a book, and it can become a bestseller, or they can get their work out there. I mean, the days of basically querying an agent and like waiting a year or 6 months till you get your rejection are over.
Right.
I think that's an old model, and I have a lot of respect for that though. I mean, and Scott and I talk about this a lot too. All that stuff happened really before the advent of really social media or the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of the internet and social media, it's basically all an even playing field now.
No, that makes perfect sense. So do you have like in the Bone Machine that you and Scott do, right? What is your most proudest published moment that you had since creating Bone Machine with Scott?
Well, to be honest, like Scott does pretty much all that stuff, and I think it's kind of cool because it's kind of invite. We don't really have like an open submission thing. It's just more of like kind of stuff that we like, and we invite people to, basically publish them, which I think is cool. I mean, with most, presses or whatever, you kind of have a submission process, but we don't really do that as far as, Scott kind of does all that stuff. I've got I'll have some input on things. He might ask me what I think about this or whatever, but he kind of does all that stuff himself. But yeah, I think it's kind of like a little club, kind of an invite type deal. We kind of like this. Okay. We like the stuff that we like. I think now Scott's trying to be a little more open to, getting some more like quality work out there. So I think that's kind of what it's about, is letting people have a chance to get their work out there that maybe people wouldn't have known about. So
right, okay.
But that's
so
basically it.
Okay. So I get what you're saying, because you're saying like, like you said too, yeah, because I noticed with the open submissions, yeah, people have that and anybody could just come in. It's like you said, the whole rejection line. Rather, in your case, it's more like it's more controlled, because you get to pick and you get to invite who you feel like, hey, I want to check this person out, and then you decide whether or not to publish and stuff like that. So it's like more of a controlled environment pretty much when it comes to the publishing case, right? I know you guys just announced like another launch, right? I believe it's in November, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I actually just saw that myself. So Scott's kind of he does all that type stuff. which is cool. I mean, to be honest, I don't have a lot of time to do that type of stuff. I wish, I did, but teaching full time, that's pretty much where my focus is during the school year.
Okay,
So,
and because I know, yeah, and I wanted to ask too, like, because you told about you was teaching English and stuff like that. And I guess my question also is, because you've been doing it for a long time, and I guess my question is, do you? It's not that do you notice the difference, but rather, what differences have been made from the time, let's say, when you first started teaching, and the way your students used to write, and opposed to how students write today? Like, is there a difference? If so, what would be the major difference between the two uh, generations of um? I don't know how to explain it. Like, as far as the way people write today compared to when you first started, like, what would be the major difference? Do you think there was more like everything's just laid back all the time? Is it something more like everything is just like taking it's something's taken more seriously compared to how people were like can you walk me through that?
yeah, I mean, obviously, I think 2001 was the my first year to teach. Obviously, the technology wasn't there, so it was pretty much right on paper, and a lot of, unfortunately, academic writing, at least in schools, public schools, is very formula based. You have to have an introduction. Here's your thesis. Then you have to have a next paragraph. Then this. Then you do a conclusion. So it's not really a good outlet for creative writing from that standpoint. But I'd say maybe the biggest difference now is like these. A lot of the students, they just want to, like, it's all digital. They'll write something maybe on the laptop or on a Google Doc. Getting them to write, sometimes on like paper or like a traditional essays, a challenge. But we have to do that as well. So yeah, I'd just say it's kind of, at least what I've done, it's kind of changed maybe a little bit, but maybe not a whole lot. I think it's just more, the kids today are just more digital. That's all they like know pretty much.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I do want to read some of the comments in the audience. Just give me 1 second. Hold on. One was from Alchemist Poetry. He asked if he has any pets in the classroom. I know why he's saying that, because Angela's also a teacher, and they deal with pets and stuff like that. So that was a question in the audience.
No, that would be the last thing I would want in class, as a pet. We don't need any more distractions. So, I mean, I think that might work for like elementary kids maybe, but I deal more in secondary education. So a lot of the students are too cool for that, or they're kind of in between almost adulthood around that age. So there's not a whole lot that impresses them, I would say. So you kind of have to be creative with the things that you do. I don't think they would be, well, they might be into it. I probably wouldn't like that, though.
Nah, I mean, I don't like pets overall. I mean, I had a cat, but unfortunately, my son was getting allergic to some of the stuff of I guess the dander, so we had to just bought to get rid of the pet.
Yeah.
But my wife was like, cause with cats, you can't just bring it anywhere unless you call animal control. But the only thing is, you have to pay $200 just for them to come pick up the cat. So that was kind of a little dramatic situation there. And I'm just like, oh, I felt bad, but it's like, okay, it's needed. But I'm just not really a pet guy. I'm like, I like it from a distance, but to own one, nah, it's not really my thing. Angela was saying that a student of hers brought her a bearded dragon. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
okay. So now it's 3 freaking lizards. And then Greco. Okay, leopard Greco's interesting. Okay, so yeah, Angela's just okay. My bad. The thing is, Angela's kind of annoyed that she can't join the live with us, so she's giving me stuff. She says she teaches biology, and let me see. What else is in the comments? My student loves these lizards. They're gorgeous. Okay, so I guess I'm just reading the conversation. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, guys, feel free to ask questions. Um,
Well, I don't like snakes, so I'll have to pass on lizards too.
oh
But we do have
man.
a lot of rattlesnakes out in West Texas, so Scott could attest. He's been out here several times, so we actually saw like some snakes this summer in New Mexico. So yeah, there's a lot of snakes out here,
Ah,
a lot of
okay,
reptiles.
okay.
But
So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I mean I'm not a big pet. I mean I grew up with like dogs. I like dogs, but cats are pretty cool. I'm just kind of allergic to them, so I don't I
Yeah.
don't like to be around them like too much.
No, that definitely makes sense. So question, do you like how do you view it as far as like you being a poet and stuff like that? How do you view yourself? Do you view yourself as an American bad boy of poetry? Do you like how do you view yourself?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I don't really view myself as anything other than I just write. And so whatever I write, that's what it is. And then, I mean, to me, like writing is just something I do. I mean, I have to write. So some people have to, I don't know, drink coffee like all day. So if I don't write, like after a little while, then I don't feel, I mean, you know, I don't want to say write, but like I really just write all the time. So I mean, I literally could write just all day pretty much. I could come up with like anything, but I think it's also good to uh, take a break too. But like as far as writing, it's really not that big of a deal for me. I can write like I've written a lot of novels, and those really aren't a problem too. A lot of times I just have to make myself do it at least with the longer things like novels. So,
Got you,
but
got you.
as far as viewing
Uh,
though, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe there's like a rebel kind of type deal because we kind of do our own thing, I guess. Um, I've never been part of like a big poetry community. In fact, I get a lot of like when I did the satire thing, a lot of hate from that. There was a lot of media and stuff about how a lot of people didn't like it, I guess. But that was kind of the point, at least to me, is to make it. Yeah, it's just satire. It must be pretty good because it upset a lot of people, and it also a lot of people couldn't tell like whether it was satire or not.
okay. Okay. It's a very interesting situation. And there's a question here. Are you a writer trapped as a teacher? And they also wrote like the rest of us, laugh face.
What was the question?
Are you a writer trapped as a teacher? That's what was the question asked.
A writer trap?
Yeah, as a teacher. Like, are you really a writer that's just a teacher? Or are you a teacher that's really a writer? Like that kind of a question. That's what was asked in the comments.
Well, I mean, I've always written, so I guess I was a writer before I was a teacher. I don't really see. I teach writing too, so I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Are you
Okay.
talking about like? I mean, I know there's some people that they're fortunate enough where they can just write like all the time. I actually have done that too. I took off like a few years just to write, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I understand the question. I mean, I've always have written, so I don't see really how it's a big difference. If I can
Right. No,
like
I
sell
get
it,
that.
yeah. I mean, anyone could be a writer. I mean, I think people uh, that want to write, I think it's a good therapeutic outlet. At least for me, it is. I'm more of kind of an introvert anyway, so that's what I do. I mean, some people play golf or I don't know, bowl,
No,
but that's kind of
yeah.
my hobbies. That's like a hobby, I guess, but it's just something I enjoy. So I don't
Nah,
see
I
that
get
just.
you on that. Nah, I feel you on that. I know for me, because I started writing just because I used to see my dad write stuff on a piece of paper, so it was more like, okay, I don't know what he's doing, why he's doing it, but I'm gonna just do the same and see where the hell it goes. And that's pretty much how it started for me right there. Um, so, oh crap, I hate when this happens. I'm sorry, just give me a second. Yeah, but yeah, so with my dad, um, pretty much that was the beginning aspects of why I started writing. So when you write your poems, right, like you look back at them, do you ever wonder sometimes like, oh wow, like I wrote that? Like, have you ever had moments like that? Do you have pieces like that that made you wonder, wow, like did I really write this?
Yeah, all the time. I've written thousands of poems. I don't even remember like half. Probably. I mean, I don't even. I'll go back and look. I was like, oh, this one's pretty good. Maybe I'll submit this one. Or I didn't think this one was that good. So yeah, a lot of the stuff I wrote, like probably early on, I thought, oh, this is not that good. But yeah, a lot of stuff I just forget about in general. So.
Right. And then your pieces, right? Are they inspiration? No, no, yeah, no, wait, you're fading out a little bit. Sorry about that. So my question also is, that your inspirations in your poetry, right? Is it more of a society thing or is it more of a personal thing?
Um, Probably a little of both. I mean, I like to look at things in
Okay.
society and write about that. So maybe a combo of both, maybe. I mean, I really don't know like what it's going to be till I write it. So it could be anything. It's
Mm,
just when I start writing, then the poem like comes out. So
got you, got you.
I might
So
have
I
an
did see a,
idea. So yeah,
yeah. No, all right. I did have a request. Somebody asked if you could read another piece for us.
read another piece, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this one's called War, and it was published in Gray Sparrow Journal. Uh, and it says, wars go on with broken hearts, and nowadays a dream is tough to find. But as for nightmares, they're giving those away for free. Living is the only thing better than death. It beats love with none in return.
Wow. Wow. You know what's interesting? I love what you said. Nightmare is given away for. Can you repeat that again one more time? Because that really caught my attention. That really, wow.
Yeah, wars go on with broken hearts, and nowadays a dream is tough to find. But
Mm,
as for nightmares, they're giving those away for free.
wow. I love that. Wow. That is very deep.
Oh, thank
Dreams
you.
are hard to find. It's so true because right, everybody talks about the American dream. You could accomplish this, but then to get to the dream and to get inspired to create a dream, to fulfill the dream, it seems to be a very difficult thing, right? And then as far as nightmares, it's so true because I'm being metaphorical here because nightmare like when you're going through a tough time that seems to be more free than anything else, right? Because we try to find freedom in our nightmares to get to a dream that we want to get achieved, but it seems like some things have to get worse to get better, but it seems like it's getting more worse before it gets better. And I guess my question is, why do you think that is? Like in your honest, there's no like right or wrong answer, but like why do you think that is? Because it seems like it's becoming more and more apparent these days that it's more bad than it is good in life.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the times we're living in. I mean, especially, what's happened the last like 2 or 3 years. But then again, like somebody's nightmare might be somebody else's dream, so it might just depend on how you look at it.
Right.
I think with like that line, to me, it's like, well, you never really have to buy like a nightmare, you know. Everybody's got something that they deal with. So, yeah, I think it's probably maybe just the society we live in, depending on whatever your take is on that. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting kind of image because a lot of people have dreams, but you know, they may not. It may not work out like how they thought. I think that you can say that about a lot of people. So.
Okay. And there was a question here. It says, no, not a question, like more of a comment. It says, you tend to walk with the strong masculine tone. Is that fair to say about your tone? That's what the question was.
As far as like the writing tone,
Yes, both.
yeah, I would probably say so. Just being a male myself, so that's just how I write. I mean, a lot of the stuff I write is probably a lot of image. I think that one good thing about poetry is you don't necessarily have to take it like literal. You know, if you take a lot of stuff, like a lot of stuff literally, you're like, oh, this is really like offensive, or you know, I want to write something where maybe it causes people to think about it. And I talk about that all the time, like at school. I'm like, you know, if you can critically think, that's going to put you ahead of like a lot of people.
Right.
You know, kind of take a step back and think about it before you decide to just go along with whatever you're told or what people expect you to believe.
Right. Right. And it's funny because when you talk about that, I did think about like Allen Ginsberg back in the day when it came to like the Beat Generation, because I know they were very countercultural with like how they were thinking, and they wanted to go beyond what it, because they were it's like they were used to a certain setting, a certain perspective. And Allen Ginsberg's time, they were looking more about, okay, wait, but why are we always sticking on this? Why can't we talk about this other stuff? And it was all about the shushing part. And it seems like the Beat Generation was the bridge to the hippies era. But I guess with that being said, I think that kind of paves the way for, like, let's say, so people like us now, where we can have a conversation like that, regardless of how uncomfortable the conversation is. And I think your piece definitely talks about that, because that piece you just read actually constructed. I think that's a very thought-provoking conversation to have, because just looking, just hearing what you said, how you said it, there's so many ways, so many directions you can take that. So I think that I feel like that's what really gravitates. That's what really like wowed me with that piece. So we are actually. Do I do have another question? Do you have a favorite book or a poem or poet that you teach your students? That's a good one.
Yeah, well, we do. I mean, we have to do certain things just from our like textbook, but I like I always teach Emily Dickinson, and I do like The Raven by Poe. They like that one just because it's more kind of Halloween type stuff.
Right.
So those are probably the main two. But I kind of throw in like some other stuff sometimes too. I like throwing a like William Blake poem, like The Garden of Love is probably one of my favorite poems by him. And then I have him like try to interpret it. And I mean, that poem's like probably my favorite poem ever, just because of the imagery. And yeah, we do that. And then they like a lot of the hip hop and rap stuff. So I'll let them like, okay, you could do a freestyle poem, but you gotta, you know, you gotta kind of break it down and like throw in a few of the elements we talked about. Yeah, they like any kind of music, that type of stuff. You know, poetry is basically like song lyrics too. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge though, you know, because a lot of them are like, oh, I don't like to read poetry, but a lot of times you relate it to like some music they like, then they get a little more interested in it. So
Right. Okay. So it's all about what you have to do to get them interested in what it is that you're teaching. That makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
something like you gotta have something that they are interested in. I mean, if you're just reading like you know old English romantic poets from the book, they're gonna be bored out of their mind. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just you gotta have something digital, something they can do. That they're interested in for the most part. And then like some of them are like, oh, I think I like poetry, and then that's kind of cool to maybe get them interested in reading a little more in depth type work, I guess. Um,
Makes sense. Makes
as,
sense.
yeah, as far as like uh, like books, like for me personally, I like a lot of writers, but yeah, I mean with school, there's a few, I try to find things that make a little like thought involved too. So I think Dickinson's good for that because her poems are pretty short, but she's got a lot of imagery and a lot of thought provoking things in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, definitely, definitely. Um, there was a question, and actually, I was going to ask that question too. Have you ever showed your students any of your works, just out of curiosity? Because a lot of poets I've talked to, their teachers, they don't bring their works or their pieces into their stuff. Like work, especially when it comes to teachers. Do you like have you shown any of your stuff to your students?
uh, yeah, I give them a poem I wrote, like, and then I want to see what they think about it, but I don't tell them like I wrote it, like maybe till the end, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you wrote that, and I'm like, yeah, but I wanted to see like what their interpretation of it was.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
one of the poems I give them is called Gills. I wrote that. It was in the Common Line Journal. So that's usually the one I use to show them that, and then I want to see what they think about it first, because a lot of the stuff, like some of the references, they don't get. But then I'm like, well, what did you think about the poem? What do you think it's really like about?
Right.
And then at the end, I'll say, oh, by the way, like I wrote it, and then they're always kind of surprised by that. So
Wow. Okay. That's cool that
yeah,
you can somehow use that. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So we are pretty much towards the end, and I always ask everybody this question. Um, but also I just want to say thank you for joining us. Despite the
no,
technical
thank you guys.
difficulties,
No
it's
problem. I
it's
appreciate it. It's been fun talking about the stuff.
nah, no doubt. I really appreciate it. So my last question to you is what? Okay, so once we all pass on, we're not in this world anymore. What would you like? What would you hope to leave behind? What impact you hope to, fulfill that after you pass on, they hear your name? Like, what would you like people to remember you by?
Um, well, I don't know if it's that important, but like I think you can have an impact like on people. I mean, that's essentially people that are left. I think as far as like me, whatever within teaching, I probably thought like I've taught probably thousands of kids to read. So I think
Mm,
if you can do that, then you give them a chance. A lot of the kids that I teach are new to the country or they don't know English, and so those are always the fun ones to me because a lot of those type kids want to learn. So I guess that's just kind of the impact you have on people, and not necessarily in a work setting, but just in general, because
right.
nobody's perfect. But I think you try to do the right thing and you learn. That's what I tell my students too. Everybody makes mistakes. You just have to try to uh, learn from it and get better.
Oh, amen. Wow. You couldn't have said it any better, man. I really appreciate that. Wow, man. So, Tom, thank you so much again for saying yes to us. Again, despite the technical difficulties, we managed to make it work. So, thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much.
guys. Keep in touch, and I always like to hear some Jersey type stuff too. So I
Yeah,
just got that. So.
we're,
I actually I
oh
like
man.
Jersey. I had me a Jersey pork roll. I had Scott's dad took me out because everybody else slept till like 2 p.m. at their house at that
Ah,
time in
okay.
the summer. So his dad was super cool, and so he would take me out and show me the Jersey, the real Jersey.
Right.
So it was a
Wow.
lot
You
of
know,
fun.
yeah, because you know, so I've only lived in Jersey for 5 years because I'm originally from New York,
Okay,
Bushwick section, and then '05 I moved to
nice.
Williamsburg. But like I seen since the time I lived in New York and then transitioned to New Jersey, I noticed the difference in culture. Big difference in culture. It's so different. The foods are different. The perspectives are different. And like I've learned so much since I've been in Jersey, how much of a difference it is. And I think the main difference, I'm gonna say, in New York, there's a lot of noise. If that makes sense, it's very
Yeah,
noisy. It's very noisy. It's very loud. And now I understand why they say it's a city that never sleeps. I get it now because where I live in Bayonne, and it is like stupid quiet, right? So in the daytime, you have some ruckus here and there, but it's never anything drastic. But then nighttime comes, everything is just pitch black, and it's like what is going on? I'm not used to this whatsoever.
right.
Um, I did have a
Yeah.
request, even though I was about to end the live, but there is a question. Give us some dirt on Scott's dad. LOL. Oh my god.
Well, I only met him one time, but he's they're Italian, and he's a great guy. He was a firefighter in New York City, and he was at 9/11 as well. And Scott could probably tell you more about that. But yeah, his whole family was super cool to me. So that was a fun trip. Unfortunately, like Scott's dog got really sick, and we had to come back for that. But his dog Dolly at that time was amazing dog. I can't believe that to survive that, and then being as old as the dog was, I think she lived like I don't know 3 or 4 more years. So yeah, but no, he's super cool, and they're just good people. I mean, I had a lot of fun being from Texas. Most people in Texas are pretty friendly too. So yeah, it was a good trip. So I'm very blessed to have a great family. So yeah, I think that's a rarity today for
Yeah,
a lot of people. So
big rarity. Oh my god, you couldn't have not said that any better. That's so true, man. For real. Oh man. And those are the ones you have to like, you have to hold on to and you just don't take for granted. So yeah. So again, Tom, again, thank you so much for just joining us tonight.
well, I want
Let's
to
definitely
ask
do this
y'all a
again
question.
soon. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, are you a writer yourself?
I consider myself a writer for sure, and I feel like once I have that pen into paper, all bets off. And I'm the kind of guy. I'm very transparent. I'm very straightforward for the most part. I'm more of I won't tell you how I feel. I'll show you how I feel kind of guy in my pieces. That's usually how I write. But I definitely consider myself a writer. I feel like I'm a writer first, and then I'm a poet. I'm more
Okay.
like I'm gonna throw a pun at Angela, but I like to let the thoughts out, if that makes sense. And
Yeah,
then,
that's
yeah,
great. That's awesome. Well, it's been fun talking to you
yeah,
guys. If y'all need something, get in touch. If you get down to Texas, let me know.
yeah. Well, my brother lives in Texas. Actually, he lives in Fort
Okay.
Worth. I
Oh,
haven't
I
been
lived
there
in Dallas.
yet.
Yeah, I
Okay.
lived in Dallas 16 years. So yeah, awesome.
Awesome, awesome.